After exploring Costa Rica, I decided to embark onto the next adventure, my second country, Guatemala City. I took a 2 hour flight from Orlando to Guatemala City. It was a great flight. I got to the immigration, there were no lines, and it was a very easy immigration. I took the shuttle to this old town called as Antigua in Guatemala City, and I stayed at the hostel called as Flor Boutique Hostel. It was a very different hostel because of the bunk beds were too high. Then I started exploring the city, went to the local market, and then to this church, which was really unique. Had a lot of details and a lot of history around. And it was the oldest church in the area for sure. And you see all these locals going there for party. Then I stopped by this local vendor to get some corn, and she did an excellent job. I loved it, and I also practiced my Spanish for a little bit. It was very, very tasty corn. Then I walked around the city, looked at this chicken bus, and it was this is what local people use to get around towns or get around the cities. Then I went to this central park of Antigua. There were a lot of vendors and people around having a good time, music, and all these like old buildings with like great architecture. And then I was hungry, so I decided to stop at this place called as Tokobaru. Wow, excellent food, freshly made by local ingredients and amazing to taste. Once I got acclimatized to the altitude, it was the important day. It was the day of a Catanango hike. We used the Tropicana tour guides, and let me tell you, listen to their do's and don'ts while hiking. It was like an easy hike. So we decided to like stop by the first stop where there is a sign, I love Acatenango, and you see other group coming down. And then we started hiking up the mountain, and you see like people were like getting tired as we were hiking up. Our friend Matt, he started cramping because I think he was low on electrolytes, and it was very difficult for him to hike. This was around at like 2,000 meters high, and you can see how tiring it was as we started hiking up the elevation. And please don't try to rush. You can see me how tired I was. It was not easy hike. As we were moving up around 2,000 meters, you can see how we were coming close to the clouds. That's my friend Sheila. Say hi to her. She's from Canada. Amazing, beautiful human being. As you can see from the side of the mountains, we've been like walking as we start going up towards the base camp. Now here we are at the base camp, and it was like an intense 4 or 5 hour hike. You can see that it was covered with clouds, so we couldn't see any volcano erupting, but finally the clouds started clearing up and we saw the smoke. As the night progressed, we started seeing more and more clarity where the volcano was, and finally at around maybe 10 p.m. you see the erupting volcano, and it was the most surreal moment I ever saw. So the next leg of the hike was around at 3:15. We started hiking up to the summit. It was an intense 2 hour hike to get to the top of summit. As you can clearly see the moon, and it was pitch dark. It was very, very windy, and it was super cold. And my friend Matt and Kevin were still struggling to get up, and we were taking it easy as we were moving up to the summit while looking at the volcano erupting at the same time. It was so beautiful seeing that lava for the first time. And at around like 5:30 a.m. 6 a.m. we got to the summit. You can see Mount Fuego. That's where the volcano is, and you can see how high we are. We can't even see the ground. You can see you're above the clouds, and as the sun rose, we could see the beautiful sky and the horizon. And it was a really, really amazing moment. It was so windy, and it was very, very cold. You need to have a jacket. Make sure, guys, you have really good hiking shoes, because they're really important during the hike. And make sure to get those poles, because the hike will be really difficult on your knees. So we were looking at the volcano erupting and everybody's taking picture, and we spent like an hour just like trying to sink in the most surreal moment of my life. I've never done this before. It's my first time, and this is the crater. So you can run down and just like explore the crater between the mountain. And now we started like around 7 a.m. We started descending down. As you can see how high we were from the base camp, and the altitude sickness will get you. We were getting headaches, and we were really restless, and we really wanted to get down at the base camp as early as possible because we were so tired, and it was exhausting on the body. But it's a once in a lifetime hike, so we really enjoyed it. It was a great job. So after that, I came back to the city, relaxed, ate some food, and decided to take a shuttle to Lake Atitlan. I got down at Panachajel and then took a lancha to come to San Pedro, where I decided to take a breakfast at this really local great cafe and look at the view from my hostel. You can see all the towns from my hostel. Then I decided to take the lancha, paid some money, and went on to San Marcos, which is like a hippie little town, and you can see all these shops selling stuff. And I decided to venture out, and I went to this place called as Eagle's Nest. Look at the view of this volcano San Pedro. It's amazing. The only thing about Eagle's Nest was I was not impressed because the yoga class for 1 hour was $20. It seems like some of the rich kids moved to Guatemala and decided to open this establishment. Then I got down from Eagle's Nest and I went to this restaurant. It was really nice, great fresh food, and it was a great view of nature. I just sat there and ate. Look at how beautiful plate of food that looks like. It was really fresh and tasty. Then I sat down near the lake and just enjoyed the water. Look at how big the lake is. And there is also a restaurant around on the lake. It was great. The next morning at 4 o'clock, I decided to take a hike to go to Indian Nose, also called as Mayan Nose, and look at the view of the lake. This was around at like 6:30 in the morning. The guide gave us food and coffee. Then I took the boat from San Pedro to go to Panachajel, where I had like an overnight bus to go to Semuc Champey. It was an 12-hour bus ride. We got to Semuc Champey, took the taxi, and came back to Semuc Champey. Now we were walking to this office and paid like 45 quetzales to get in Semuc Champey. So there were two views. One was the hiking, where you can see the overview of Semuc Champey. And look at this iconic Semuc Champey. What a beautiful location, and blue turquoise water. So it took us around 45 minutes to hike. It was an intense hike. So then we walked down to swim in the water, and look at the water, how beautiful it looks. It also took us like around 45 minutes to like 30 minutes to get down, and then the water was absolutely beautiful. I remember it was there were fishes inside which will nibble on your skin. Then once we finished our stuff over there, we walked to our hostel. Don't get scared. This hostel looks like a cult, but it's not. It's such a great place, and so many people live there. It's called as a Hostel Gringos. So the next day, I got out of the hostel and I had to take a bus to go to Guatemala City. It was around like 8 to 9 hours of a bus ride. I stayed in Zona Diaz in this hotel called as Hotel Antigua, and the room they gave to me had like a leaky AC, so it was water everywhere, so I had to complain, and then they gave me a better room. Then I ventured out in the city, went to a mall, and to this restaurant called as Little India. A great ambience, but food was really tasty, but it was very expensive. The next day I explored and for some breakfast. This place is called a San Martin, and it was like a local place, and it was really busy. It's a small cafe where people go to, and it wasn't hard for one person to find a table, and they had this like really great breakfast menu. So I ordered myself egg benedict, and let me tell you, it was one of the best one. Look at how busy it was. Like, it was a weekend, And then I caught an Uber and I went to the airport. It was like a short drive.